Hey guys, Brady from Late Weather Forecast, and today I'm going to provide my 2020 hurricane season outlook. And I know it's already June and hurricane season has already started, but I figured we just wait as long as possible with this because I want the more information. I don't want to put in inaccurate forecasts. Same thing with winter forecasts. I'm not going to put any winter forecast out until September at least, into September next year. Um, I want all the information possible before it looked like it was going to be pretty impressive, through December, into early December with the winter season, but then, how that turned out. But anyways, let's get going. Okay, so here's where tropical storm conditions are likely to form. Okay, the number at the top of the bar graph on the right is 60%. So we've already seen this verify, okay? And, we've seen this verify, in this location along the coast. Here we've seen this verify, into South Carolina too. Those are some of the locations we've seen that verify already where tropical storm conditions have already happened. We saw some impressive, near 65-mile-an-hour wind gusts on the Alabama coast, okay? So, I'm not going to get in crystal ball, but I thought that was a little bit stronger than what the National Hurricane Center suggested. But regardless, if you've seen it in my past videos, you know what I'm talking about. This is based on history, where tropical storm conditions are, likely to happen. That's my take. And then you can see the orange is 40% and the yellow is 30%. Where you have a 30% chance of seeing tropical storm conditions. This is just based on history. So every year, this verifies. It doesn't mean you're necessarily going to see it. More recently, New England hasn't, and the Northeast hasn't seen any much hurricane conditions. Maybe the Cape and the Outer Islands definitely got affected by Dorian last year, but a place like Philly, they didn't get much. DC hasn't been really affected by any hurricanes. Baltimore, New York City, Boston, even going up into some coastal New England places into Maine, they haven't really been affected. That could change this year. You never know. I'm not going to tell you there's going to be a hurricane there, but it's definitely possible that we could see a strong tropical storm this year in the Northeast. So, but again, this is a good map to just know every year, where the most hurricane prone zones are across the U.S. Shift now. This is important because we're still in an active area. I think active era for hurricane seasons ever since 1995. We have been in what's called the active era of hurricanes, and this is the MDR region. In other words, the developmental region. Here is where we look at 1995 and later. Okay, this is about the time where it starts, and we look here, right? Look at the difference. I mean, this goes right into what global warming is doing, right? We look past here. Less than average, greater than average, right? And just look at that. I mean, that's pretty incredible, right? To see that, how that works. And we're in above average sea surface temperatures for the last 25 years. That's just an incredible stat in the developmental region, okay? And 10 out of, I believe it's around 10-ish. I mean, yeah, you can count them up yourself, maybe around 10 or 11 of those 25 years prior were below average sea surface temperatures. Okay, nearly half of those years. Okay, about 40% of those years, 50% of those years were below average sea surface temperatures. Not one year since 1995 has been below average sea surface temperatures in the developmental zone. That's crucial. Okay, that just shows the effects of global warming and how developmental zone has been key for dropping all of our hurricanes because of those African waves. A lot of times may not even form in the developmental region, but they might gain some strength there. So that's just one example. Now I'm going to shift away from that. And here's El Nino versus La Nina. Put it simply, El Nino not good for hurricanes. La Nina is some rare cases where in an El Nino year like Dorian, last year was a very active year. Many storms were formed, and that was just a rare year. But El Nino most of the time is going to be a bad hurricane season. Maybe good for some, bad. It depends on your point of view. Less storms usually in an El Nino year. La Nina usually means more storms, and where we will see just in a more active hurricane season, and that's just proven. It's verified, from past hurricane seasons. And if you have a good memory, you can look and see on the right side, those are your La Nina conditions, years where La Ninas existed. And if you look, you might memorize some pretty impressive hurricane seasons. I gotta say probably one sticks out to you right away here, right? 2005, 2006 hurricane season. We all know what happened there. I'll get into that in a little bit. Here's some briefly, almost like how hurricanes form, a little bit more in depth, but how hurricanes can intensify. You need low shear, okay. Dorian was able to fight through some shear, I'd say. I don't know Dorian, but Michael was a rare case, and meteorologically that was an impressive event. Okay, I'm not going to go into that, but it was really cool how that happened. Unfortunate for the folks in Apalachicola and Mexico Beach, but that was definitely an impressive meteorological system to happen that was just poorly forecasted by the models. Okay, you need warm sea surface temperatures that we talked about in the developmental region. That's not a concern, really, every year. Okay, it's more of a concern, though. But the warmer those temperatures are can really help benefit. We're expecting them to be even warmer than the warm above average temperatures we've already been having for the last 25 years. Going to be warmer than that, we're expecting this year. Okay. Hurricanes need moist and saturated air. Okay, go back on sea surface temperatures. You need 80-degree temperatures for hurricanes to help intensify at least. Sometimes, if it's maybe a subtropical system, you don't necessarily need that, or an extratropical system, you don't need that either. And that's why it's called extratropical, because it's no longer carrying any tropical characteristics. Okay, you need moist, saturated ground to work over, okay? So it doesn't have to be just in the ocean, right? The brown ocean effect can literally play, which means hurricanes can not always intensify. That's what typically the brown ocean effect refers to, usually, but hurricanes can go over land, right, with moist and saturated soil and grounds, and not de-intensify as quickly. Okay, Harvey is an example where it was able to go, I think, 12, 18 hours after it was still a Cat 1 hurricane after it made landfall. Or a better example in Harvey is it made landfall and it stayed Cat 4 through its whole landfall process. It didn't fall apart. It was Cat 4 through both landfalls. That's impressive. Okay, that's pretty impressive. But next we'll skip to hurricanes that can't have dry air, right? Saharan dust can really affect that too. Right now there's Saharan dust in the developmental region, but I don't think Saharan dust will be the biggest concern for us this hurricane season. Upper level high pressures can really help intensify hurricanes. Okay, in other words, an upper level anticyclone, you may have heard of that before, where it can just really, Katrina's an example where it's just really helpful in providing. I'm not going to go too into depth with these. I could if I wanted to, but I try and keep it in short as I can, because I still have a lot to go through. Katrina was able to benefit from the upper level high pressure and really intensify more than forecasted. And that upper level high was poorly forecasted from the models at the time. That's why Katrina was able to shift west a little bit too. Converging winds is part of that. Is part of the same thing. You don't want shear, converging winds, low shear, upper level high pressure, all near the same category, and you need sinking air too. So those are some of the things. They have sinking air maps on Tropical Tidbits. If you go to Worldview, you can see some of those and play out model forecasts to see what it's looking like. Green is good for hurricane development. If you want to look into that more, I'm not gonna try and go into that too much, and I'll shift here to the current sea surface temperatures. What we're looking like, a very weak La Nina, I would say right now. Not a strong one, not a moderate one. It's a weak La Nina in the process of development here. Okay, and I'll talk about that more. Here is next. We're going to shift to the 2005 hurricane season, right? Don't that look similar? This is when the weak La Nina was in the process of developing during the 2005 hurricane season. Now, I'm just going to say that looks awfully similar to what we are in right now. So that's just some indications of, there's some really distinct characteristics that are pretty damn close to. This is after Katrina too. Katrina was in a neutral phase when it developed. Okay, it was not technically in a La Nina phase. This is a weak. Okay, this is an even weaker La Nina developing. This is around September 12th, 2005, and this is June 8th, 2020. It doesn't have to be the same time. It doesn't have to be, though, the La Nina has to develop early in the season. No, it doesn't, because you could have a late hurricane season and still be hyperactive, like we saw last year. But you can see there are many similarities in this, and that's what has me a little bit concerned. The only non-similarity here, the only difference is that cold pool of water, it's a very small region, but average to below average, and very right above the La Nina in Northwest South America. That's the only difference I'd say so far. But now we will shift and we'll show you, not really shift, but 2005 Atlantic hurricane season. There's 27 named storms. That's just damn impressive. You don't see that too often here. I realize the noise might be a little scratchy here. Sorry for that if it was. But 27 named storms. That's quite impressive. And this was during a La Nina developing in a weak La Nina that eventually developed here. This was the strongest hurricane season of all time. 2018 hurricane season, I talked about that some. There was definitely some hurricane development there. We talk about Michael in the Gulf. There was Florence. Florence is always, that was just a Cat 1 flood event. Florence, you lucked out. Florence could have been a lot worse. Okay, Florence could have been the equivalent of Harvey, almost. Okay, not necessarily the rainfall totals, but it could have done more damage had it not weakened before landfall. Okay, Florence was unlucky for a lot of people in North and South Carolina, I get it. But Florence could have been a lot worse. It really could have. It could have been a Cat 2, high-end Cat 2, low-end Cat 3 at landfall. It could have been a lot worse. Okay, because I think Florence was up to almost 140 mile an hour in wind speed. It was a decent Cat 4 at least. And it could have been a lot worse. But here's 2018, how it happened. We have 15 named storms here. This is another La Nina. If you don't believe me, you can go check yourself. 2012, another La Nina. 19 named storms, okay? I'm sure y'all remember Isaac in Louisiana. We all remember Sandy, of course, even if you don't live in the area. Um, there's some pretty strong, not too many strong storms on here, actually, believe it or not. But there's definitely a lot of named storms. So you can still have a lot of named storms and not accumulate a lot of cyclonic energy, which we didn't here in this 2012 hurricane season. But 19 named storms. This is another La Nina. Okay, 2011, another La Nina, right? We have a lot of storms that were tailed off the sea. I don't know. When you have more named storms, you have a better chance. Okay, then the trade winds will steer some of these storms off to sea, as we saw. I mean, a lot of storms pushed out to sea here rather than making landfall. And Irene was just one, right? One of like 8 or 9 of these right off to the coast here, and a total of 19 named storms were able to happen here. You look in the Gulf, you can see Arlene and Dawn. Those are some early season storms that were able to develop in the Gulf, as you can see there too, but not too significant of storms. 2008 hurricane season, no map here, couldn't find one, a good one at least, but 2008 hurricane season, 16 named storms here, right? There were some big time storms. Bertha was a Cat 3. That was a good storm. There wasn't a ton of impacts from Bertha, but that was a good storm. Gustav, that was deadly. I mean, 2008 hurricane season was one of the deadliest on record. Just absolutely, it was terrible season it was. Gustav, or do I have the right season? It was deadly. It was pretty deadly. That's not a good thing, but Ike, Southeast Texas, never forget that one. Galveston area just crushed a 20-foot storm surge. This is, again, during another La Nina. Gustav wasn't, I didn't go too far into that one, but that was a very deadly storm as well. Look at all the Cat 4s, right? 4 Cat 4 storms here. 2008 was a very bad, and 5 major hurricanes. Not a good season. Good for development, but not good for a lot of people's lives. 27 hurricane season. This is a record one almost. I think this is the top 3 hurricane season in total accumulated cyclonic energy, and that's how hurricane seasons are measured, not by the amount of named storms. The amount of named storms can help develop it, but as we've seen so far, we don't have much of accumulated cyclone energy so far. But again, this is during another La Nina, the 2017 hurricane season. Multiple Cat 5s, many Cat 4s. Just very not good season, right? If we do the math here, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, there's got to be, I think there were 6 or 7 major hurricanes here. And one many people don't talk about was Nate, but Nate was pretty bad too for a Cat 1 hurricane. It's about as bad as you can get. 90-mile-an-hour hurricane. It really brought quick storm surge, and luckily, as quickly as it moved in, it moved out as fast as well, which was nice for Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama. 1998 hurricane season, not as many named storms maybe as some of these other ones, but when it comes to developed cyclonic energy, I mean, this was impressive. I mean, this is, I think, the second most deadly, if not, this is at least, this is a second most deadly hurricane season, I think, on record here, if not the most deadly. I'll have to check my facts on that one, but Georges, my God, was that a bad one. Very extremely deadly. Hurricane there. Mitch, another bad one. Cat 5. Bonnie, you all in North Carolina, South Carolina, remember that one, of course. Just another bad hurricane season. This is during a La Nina. 1995 hurricane season, okay? This is during another La Nina, right? This one brought 19 named storms, right? A lot of impressive storms happened here. Um, and again, I gotta emphasize, this is during La Nina. This is what La Nina can do for hurricane seasons. I have a lot of um, evidence to back it up. It's not like I do. Everybody does. It's for you to look and observe. Just hurricanes seasons are more likely to be more active during a La Nina. It's just fact. Okay, so here's my hurricane season overall outlook. Um, Top of the screen, those are 3 names that have already been crossed off our list. So, name storms, 17 to 20, 22 total name storms I'm going with, which for some people go, oh, that's bold. That's an hyperactive season. Well, yeah, I think we're going to be pretty close to that. Okay, we don't, 14 to 20 name storms. I think we'll have more after Arthur, Bertha, and Cristobal. Hurricanes, I think we're going to have 8 to 13 hurricanes here, right? I just see no reason why we're going to continue to only have tropical storms for the rest of the hurricane season. That's not how it's going to work. We're going to have a lot of hurricanes too, I'm pretty sure. Based on all the stuff I was showing you, there's no reason to believe why not. We'll see, 8+ hurricanes this year. Major hurricanes. Now this is probably a bolder, the last 2 are pretty bold for predictions, but give myself a little bit of range for this one because I think we could have many major hurricanes. This could be a record-breaking hurricane season, right? There's many conditions, and I gotta throw in the 2020 thing too. Weird stuff is happening right now. It's not scientific at all, but man, it's 2020. Why not? Why not see 8 major hurricanes this year? Honestly, not rooting for it, but there could be a ton of major hurricanes compared to an average season. Average numbers are 6 hurricanes, by the way. Average number of named storms is 12. Average number of major hurricanes is about 3. And so those are the average numbers, right? For named storms and hurricanes and major hurricanes. Now we'll go to ACE, which is accumulated cyclonic energy. This is my boldest, probably. I don't want to say, it is bold in a sense. It's a far range, right? Really far range. You could have a Cat 4 hurricane, developed, with Cat 5 hurricane develop, with 60 units of cyclonic energy, right? But I just think it's going to be an extremely active hurricane season. So far, we only have 5 units, but that will change for sure. For sure that will change. We only have 5 so far, but I am predicting that we'll probably come close to that 200 range, if not higher. Originally, I said around 180 to 200. But I said I think this could be a pretty active year, so I'm just going to extend the range, even though that's a really, really big range. I think the potential is there. So that's going to do it for me now for this video. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment down below. If you have any questions on your area or past history on hurricanes, I'd be more than happy to answer your questions below. Feel free to give it a like, and peace out. Yeah.